Morning all, thank you, great to be here. Right, I'm going to try and get through this segment without making gaffes about sausages or making too many jokes, and hopefully won't get glitter bombed by anybody off stage as well. For those of you who aren't aware, the Advertising Association, we are the trade body that represents the media, tech companies, agencies and brands, so the full remit of the advertising ecosystem. And the work that I do and that my team does is to make sure that the entire sector is at the forefront of the government's mind whenever they're thinking about things about AI, future tech, future skills, future of the workforce, advertising regulation, of course, the list goes on and on and on. Normally I'm down in Westminster, and I split my time between Westminster and Scotland, but occasionally I'm allowed to kind of leave those two places and skirt around the country and see what I can pick up, and Party Conference is the best time to do that. So we were at SNP in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago, Lib Dems down in Brighton, obviously just come from Liverpool for Labour, and then off to Birmingham next week. So don't say I don't get to have fun. Can I just, before I get into the analysis part, a show of hands of anybody here who's been to a party conference before? I won't ask you your political allegiances, don't worry. Okay, a couple of people, but thankfully not too many, so I can say whatever I want here. Basically, for those of you who are uninitiated, this is my Cannes Lions, okay? This is my Brit Awards, this is my Oscars, all rolled into one. A couple of weeks of gossip, a couple of weeks of insight. And whilst we're there, obviously, to promote the advertising industry and make sure that we are engaging with as many of those key stakeholders as possible, the key reason why we're going, honestly, is to soak up as much information as possible, get as much insight as possible, and then be able to relay that back, inform our plans, and inform industry. The Labour Party is probably the best one to do that with, not just because they're in government, but just the way that their conference is structured, the people who are there, they have this vast remit. So you've got members, ordinary people who can come along and make speeches and interventions, and they're also very happy to tell you exactly what they think of Keir Starmer and the rest of the cabinet, so come and grab me afterwards if you want to get a bit of gossip. You've got all the MPs, you've got the cabinet, you've got protesters, you've got campaigners, you've got journalists, you've got trade groups, you've got everybody there, about 30,000 people crammed into a small space. And what I want to do in the next couple of minutes is kind of pull away the curtain behind that and sort of show the Wizard of Oz that's going on behind the stuff that you've seen on TV, the kind of glamorous speeches, Keir Starmer standing in front of that massive conference hall. Behind all of that, 600 fringe events, so panel discussions, interviews with cabinet ministers. This is where the real conversations are happening. This is where the real stuff is going on, and that's where you'll find me and my team getting around as many of those as possible. They cover everything, any policy issue that you can imagine. My favorite one was the Berry Pickers Association were there, and they had the strap line of, it's a juicy opportunity, which I loved. I didn't quite get to make it into that one, unfortunately, but I'm sure it was great. And we sponsored a couple of events, so we had 2 receptions, and we had a panel discussion as well. So in terms of what we learned, I think the first takeaway is they're pretty scared, to be quite honest. The mood music between this conference and last year's conference could not be more different. Last year, everyone was kind of buzzing with excitement. Everyone had this nervous energy. They were really, they could see power within their grasp, and they were excited about what they were going to be able to do with it. And then obviously a couple of months ago, they had won a massive landslide beyond what they could have imagined, and suddenly they have to deliver on that change that they campaigned on. And you'll have seen that the conference slogan was "Change Begins," and they are very aware that there are a lot of problems, a lot more problems than they thought, and they're being told about more and more of them every day. And they don't have the solutions yet. They don't have those policy solutions. So it's problem heavy and policy light. And that's what they were looking for from us. That's what they're looking for from everyone in this room. What are those solutions? What can we as the AA and trade bodies do? What can you as business give them? What can you tell them that they need to be able to hear? Because as I say, they've got a lot of problems and they are very keen to work with industry. So partnership was the kind of key word that was coming through from a lot of ministers, and Johnny Reynolds, the business secretary in particular. So that's the first thing. A lot of problems, not very many solutions. The second one, on a happier note, is that media, culture, the creative industries, we are now at the forefront of government. DCMS, the Department of Fun, whatever you want to call it, has been taken away from kind of being on the periphery and is now seen as a central driver of not only growth, but of how they're going to deliver this key change. So Lisa Nandy, our new Secretary of State, her mum used to work at Granada TV, so she knows the sector quite well. Chris Bryant, very happy to quote Sophocles and RuPaul in the same sentence, and he's really passionate about our industry. But you also saw Keir Starmer talking about it. I thought actually that was the most passionate bit of his speech whenever he was talking about the importance of culture, the importance of programs, the importance of media to bring the country together and kind of put forward the Britain that he was talking about. So we are definitely at the forefront of that. I think the challenge for us, and I'd be really keen to talk to people about this in any of the breaks, is to make sure that we're not only seen as an economic driving force, and Lisa Nandy is part of the cabinet discussions and the delivery group for that. So DCMS is definitely in the center of those economic points, but also around health, which is one of their other key missions, showing that advertising and the media can help contribute to informing people about their health, informing those discussions around preventative healthcare, and also some stuff around sustainability. I think those are probably the 3 of the 5 missions that people in this room can talk to best. And the AA is doing a lot of work on that. And as I said, I'd love to speak to a lot of you about that as well. And the third point that I'd just like to flag is kind of linked to what I've just been talking about. It's almost as if I planned this all out. And it's about they really want to learn from business, and actually other businesses really want to learn from this sector, from the people in the room. The key things they want to know about is regional growth, regional investment. So that's why it's great that there's so many of you here. They really want to know how Media City has managed to thrive, for example, how Channel 4 in Leeds is doing, how businesses in Liverpool and across the north are able to thrive, and also what the challenges are that are stopping them. So that's what the government wants to know. It's also what, frankly, a lot of the other business leaders that I was talking to there want to know. How have the media industry, the creative industry, we all know there are challenges, but overall, how have you managed to get that regional investment and regional growth? The second thing would be around exports, particularly around, obviously, advertising exports have been growing double-digit figures year on year. They're very, very keen to replicate that in other sectors, unsurprisingly. They're not going to get that massive growth that Keir Starmer keeps on talking about if they can't replicate the success that our sector has had in other places. And then the third one, as they're going around Europe, resetting these international relations, is soft power. And I don't need to tell anybody in this room how important soft power is, but also how much we know about soft power and what we can give to the government about that. So those would be my 3 takeaways. Firstly, they've got a lot of problems. They don't really know what to do. Secondly, our sector is being seen as a key answer to a lot of the growth issues, and let's see what we can do around health and sustainability. And then thirdly, there are other sectors out there, other business leaders who really want to learn from everybody in this room. So thank you very much. Hopefully that's been insightful. I didn't get glitter bombed and I didn't make too many bad jokes, hopefully. So yeah, thank you. Please do grab me in the intervals if you want to chat further and if you want to get any of that juicy gossip. Thank you.